Are you thinking about getting your real estate license and wondering how much it'll cost? If yes, congratulations, you're in the right spot. Today we're going to be breaking down the obvious and the not so obvious costs to getting your real estate license. Stick around to the end of this video where we will be adding up exactly the total of how much it costs to become a real estate agent. What's going on, guys? It's your friendly neighborhood realtor, Trevor Wineland here, coming at you with how much does it cost to become a realtor in 2022? Now, if you're new to the channel, please drop a thumbs up and give me a subscribe. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, just realize before we get into the video that obviously there's going to be some variance in, how much you want to put into this, but the video is going to give you a general idea of what to expect cost-wise to become a real estate agent. All right, first off, guys, you got to go to school. You got to take your 90-hour pre-licensing course. This course is going to run you anywhere from $600 to $800. I actually bought the course 2 times. I first bought it online and then decided to actually take it in person to give myself the best chance, and both those courses ran me around $600. And honestly, $600 for what you can do in this industry if you're committed is really not that bad in my opinion. Just be prepared to learn a lot of shit that you don't need to know. Alrighty, guys, after you pass your 90-hour pre-licensing course, then you got to go take the state, you got to go take and pass the state exam. And for a year after you get your license, you have a whole year to actually take that exam. The only issue with that is it's around $50 to $60 depending on where you go each time you take it. So I'd advise you study up and hammer it the first time so you can save yourself some money. Alrighty, guys, now after you pass your course and then pass your test, now you can go actually apply for the license. So during this process, you're going to have to pay MLS dues as well as some potential fees depending on what brokerage you hang your license with. Now, as far as MLS fees, at least in Indiana, they're going to charge you around $1,300 a year, as well as a $200 one-time application fee for when you first get started. And as far as fees from your brokerage to get started, typically this isn't anything crazy, maybe $10 to $20 a month, depending on your brokerage. This is just going to be for, technology fees, desk fees, whatever. It's not going to be super big after you pay those initial fees with the MLS. On top of those desk fees, I forgot to mention, you'll also have to pay annual insurance in your brokerage. This is errors and omissions insurance, and this is basically going to run you a couple $100 a year typically. So, okay, now that we've gone over the essentials, what you absolutely bare minimum need to do to get started in the business, let's talk about the not so obvious costs to starting your real estate business. First off, I want to talk about tech and tech equipment. Now, obviously, this isn't absolutely essential, but in my opinion, if you want to compete and actually do well in this business, you're going to want to invest in some good tech so you can actually stand a chance. So, in my opinion, you're definitely going to want to invest in some of these items. Alright, guys, first off, you're going to want to get a good laptop. Now, depending on your laptop of choice, obviously you can spend as little as $500-$600 all the way up to, $2,000 or whatever. I use the MacBook Air, so it costs me like $850-$900 to get started. In my opinion, at least just to get started, depending on how much, editing and software you're going to be running on your computer, typically the MacBook Air or something similar around $800 to $900 will likely do its job for what you need to do. You could probably get away with spending a little less, but me personally, I always like to spend a little bit more. One and done, get the equipment I need for life, or at least for an extended period of time that's going to actually serve me. I'd much rather do that than buy a shittier piece of equipment and then buy it, 3 or 4 times. In my opinion, it's best just to spend a little extra, get quality shit, and then you don't have to worry about it again. Most of you guys already probably have a decently modern smartphone, and really to get started, that's all you're really going to need to take your pictures and to take your videos if you are going to leverage video content. But on that note, if you are going to leverage video content, I would highly recommend that you get yourself a good mic setup, I use the Rode Wireless Go 2. Definitely don't use, at least in my opinion, I don't want to hate on them, but the Deity Wireless 2, don't fucking use it. If you guys are looking into mics, like, that's a whole separate story, but those are shit. Get the Rode Wireless Go, get something similar, get a good mic setup that you're going to be able to do property tours with, make your YouTube videos, whatever you're doing, it's a good idea to go that extra mile and to get some good audio actually in your videos. Now, as far as anything else besides, mics, you might want to get yourself a decent gimbal, which is going to keep your phone steady when you're taking property tours or, doing any sort of vlogging activities or whatnot. I mean, this mic setup cost me around $200, $220, and then my gimbal was like $100, $120. I mean, it's really not that bad, but it definitely makes a big difference in the quality of content you can put out. Okay, the next hidden expense that no one seems to mention is clothing and accessory. Now, I know this might sound a little bit ridiculous, but listen, if you're going to be a professional in this business, I know some realtors going to get on here and, I wear a sweatshirt and a t-shirt to work. Okay, that's fine for some people, but a high percentage of the time, you want to show up looking professional and looking like you know what the fuck you're doing. I mean, I say it to people all the time, you can never redo your first impression. Your first impression, the way you present yourself, and then your second impression, the way you talk and articulate things, is extremely important. And especially if you're getting started, which, I'm sure a lot of you watching this are looking at getting started, you're going to want to not leave any stone unturned. Like, you're going to want to get, I'm not saying you have to go get custom $10,000 suits or anything like that. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. You can go to a Men's Warehouse, Macy's, anywhere, and just get some decent business casual, some decent button-up shirts, and then a few blazers. But, even if you're not going crazy spending, you're just getting decently quality stuff, I mean, you get a couple pairs of pants at $50, a couple shirts between $50, $75. A good blazer is going to run you, $300, $350. You get yourself set up with that, that's going to cost you $600, at least, $500 to $600. And that's being conservative. I mean, I can tell you guys, I've honestly probably spent, $1,000 on clothes just to get started. You can't, the thing is, you can't be wearing the same shit every week. And you obviously can rewear it, but, you got to have a decent variety. And to have a decent variety of shirts, pants, a couple shoes, a couple watches, you're talking, I'll put in this video minimum $600, but, realistically, a decent bit higher, especially if you start getting into watches and shoes and all that, you're going to be well over $1,000. And this is just one of the many hidden expenses people, don't think about or don't talk about, and then they get in the business and they're like, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. So that's really what this video is for, to, explain the full page, of what goes into this business. Okay, so after you get yourself looking all nice with your professional attire, you're going to need to get marketing photos done. So you're going to need to get headshots. You're probably going to want to get more than just headshots. You're going to want to get headshots, professional photos taken in a couple different outfits, for your business cards and other marketing material. I guess I'll lump all that. So, you're going to need your headshots, and then let's put headshots and marketing material together. So you're going to need to get your headshots, let's just say professional photos. You're going to need to get your professional photos done, and then you're going to need to get your business cards done. You're going to want to get some sign writers, so when you start getting your open houses, start getting your listings, you have your own custom personalized sign. At least at my brokerage, they don't provide that. They provide us with the signs. But if you're going to want to put your face and name out there like you should be, if you want to get into this business, you're going to have to get, your own business cards, your own writers, your own marketing material that has your brand and your name on it. And this is going to cost you, a couple $100. So, I mean, I would say for this section, professional photos ain't cheap. So I mean, that's going to run you a couple $100 by itself. And then business cards really are pretty cheap. They're, you might spend 50 to 70 bucks on them, and then as far as sign writers, same thing, maybe 50 to 80 bucks. Nothing major, but still, you definitely want to account for this going into this business. All right, guys, the last cost, and this is really truly a hidden cost that I want to mention, is when you become a realtor, you're not paid by a lot of people don't understand this, you're not paid by the hour. And you don't just show up to the office and, get leads and get contracts signed and get deals. Like, when you show up, it's 100% on you to make your money. So, with that being said, as a realtor working, you're paid on 100% commission. You don't typically get a salary or any sort of base pay. Like, it's 100% on whether you make deals or not. So with that being said, banks don't like that at all. So if you're trying to buy a house, finance a car or whatnot and work with a bank, you're not going to be able to get approved until you do this profession for a few years. They need to see that, okay, this guy can work on 100% commission, and he's shown a track record for a couple years that he's been able to make good money. Until you get to that point, your first 2 years, and a lot of times, your first year, you're not going to be doing that well, typically. Banks aren't going to they don't want to work with you. It's too high of a risk. They need to see a steady stream of income coming in. They need to have their asses covered. And when you're a real estate agent, your income is fluctuating, or it can, very heavily. So you need to keep that in mind. Working with a bank, they're not going to want to work with you until you have a few years of proven track record doing this profession. Now, obviously, a lot of people, what they do is they still work their regular job where they have an hourly rate or a salary base pay, and then they get into real estate and it's fine or whatever. But if you're looking to do this actually as your main business and your main profession, you got to keep that in mind before you get into this game. Like, if you're trying to get your house, trying to get a car, you should definitely get that done beforehand before you jump into the full-time real estate game. Alrighty, guys, I think that about covers it for today's video. Let me know in the comments if you think I missed anything. I tried to be pretty thorough with this video so you guys can get a better idea of exactly, the costs going into this. I think it's not really the brokerage's fault, but, going through school, all that good stuff, we learn all up until you get to the actual real estate game and you start making deals and you're in the day-to-day life of a realtor, you really have no idea what to expect. And unfortunately, I think this is by design, where the brokerages and the MLS associations and stuff don't really fill in newly licensed agents on, how much does this cost, what to expect, what is it like working as a real estate agent. And I'm definitely going to make a video on that, what it's actually like, working as a real estate agent. Because a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions I've heard about it. So I think that will definitely be a good video topic to get into in depth on, what it's actually like working as a realtor. Alright, you guys, as promised at the end of the video, we're going to total up what I have as a rough estimate here. So we've got about $650 in schooling. We got around $1,800 in MLS and brokerage dues right off the bat. We put $1,000 for tech, another $600 to $1,000 in clothing, another $200 to $400 for headshots and marketing material. So that leaves us with a rough estimate of like $4,700. But realistically, guys, I really think that's pretty conservative. I know me personally, with the software I've invested in, even education materials, like paying for certain courses, I've spent easily over $5,000 to $6,000 just to get started. And like I mentioned before, spending all that, getting in here, doing the work, that doesn't guarantee you necessarily anything, because like I mentioned before, it's 100% commission. So you have to keep that in mind too. It's not just a 1-to-1 ratio with how much you put in and how much money you get back. Nothing's guaranteed in this business. But the way I look at it is using smart investments, in your marketing material, in your tech, in your clothing, stuff like that. That gives you a lot better chance of getting that commission, getting the deals done, getting clients, helping people, but it doesn't actually guarantee 100% anything. Alright, you guys, I think that wraps up today's video. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you got some good value and some good insight on how much it really costs to become a realtor in 2022. Make sure you check the description below. Check out my other socials. Give me a follow on those, and we'll see you in the next video.